Get up, D.C. It's Tuesday, May 3rd.
We have a lot of news for you.
Let's start with something big breaking overnight.
Protests erupt outside the Supreme Court building here in D.C. over Roe v. Wade.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Roe v. Wade has got to go!
You'll hear from both sides as a new report suggests the High Court could allow states to make abortion illegal.
Abortions will not stop, regardless of if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Women will find a way
to say that the reversal of Roe v. Wade is good and it will save lives.
I'm live here at the Supreme Court breaking down the Politico report about overturning Roe v. Wade and the reaction to it all.
If states are allowed to ban abortion, we estimate that 26 states are certain or likely to do just that.
So what exactly does the leaked document say about abortion rights? We'll take a look.
And we're back with breaking news that could impact millions of Americans. An unprecedented Supreme Court leak indicates conservative justices are poised to overturn Roe v. Wade.
This is extraordinary. Protesters on both sides of the abortion rights debate showed up at the Supreme Court building overnight. This after Politico says it obtained a document that was circulated among the justices in February. If the opinion becomes official, and we don't know if it will, it would allow state legislatures to craft their own laws restricting abortion.
We're bringing you the late breaking details and context in our team coverage this morning. We'll check in with Nicole D'Antonio and Abby Larico down at the Supreme Court building in a less than a minute. But first, right now, let's get a quick check of your forecast from Chester because I think you have some good news for us.
I do. It's mostly a nice day here today. Probably the last really nice day over the next several, as we do have some rain chances moving back into the forecast. Clouds are increasing today still. There will be some sunshine, and we're still warm. Temps in the 70s. We'll come back and break down that rain opportunity. I'm going to use the Futurecast hour by hour. Right now, though, we'll send it over to Michelle.
Hey, Chester, and yesterday was just gorgeous, but checking in with our roads, it's mostly quiet out there, but we are already starting to track those southbound delays on DC 295. So if you missed it last week, there's a new traffic pattern on 295 right at Pennsylvania Avenue that has southbound lanes shifting to the right, and on the northbound side, the left lane and then that lane that becomes the exit lane are blocked. So plan for heavier delays than we've been seeing before last week, guys.
All right, Michelle. We want to get right back to that unprecedented breaking news this morning about the possible future of the Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in the United States. Last night, Politico published a report with what it calls a draft opinion from the Supreme Court justices.
Now, that report suggests the court would strike down Roe v. Wade, but it's unclear if this draft shows the Supreme Court's final decision on the matter.
Nicole D'Antonio joins us live from outside the Supreme Court with the very latest. Good morning, Nicole.
Hey, good morning. And, standing out here, what we keep hearing again and again is really how unprecedented this is. A draft opinion getting leaked out while a case is still pending. And in fact, at this hour, I want to show you just past all the media here. You can see the barricades are still up. Police put these out after large amounts of crowds gathered overnight. You can see there's still a few people out here this morning. But just to recap with all of this, what came out, according to Politico, is a draft opinion dealing with the Mississippi abortion ban. Justice Samuel Alito wrote that draft opinion, saying in that opinion that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided and should be decided by the state. But again, want to caution, this is a draft opinion. Of course, opinions change, even votes could change. But as you can imagine, it brought out both sides of the issue outside the Supreme Court right here in D.C. Soon after that report came down, hundreds of pro-choice and pro-life supporters gathered right here. We witnessed yelling matches that took place between the two sides as each of them tried to have their voices heard.
I'm shocked. I hope that it was just a headline that wasn't true, but I think there might be some truth to it, and I'm hoping that protests like this bring some attention to the fact that America doesn't want to overturn Roe v. Wade.
It looks like we're going to finally see justice for the unborn in this country.
Now, again, want to point out this is not the final word. The court will make that decision later this summer. But as you could hear, guys, just a lot of emotion on both sides of the issue with all of this.
All right, Nicole, such a big story this morning. We'll check back in with you again coming up at 6:30. All right now we want to continue our team coverage by taking a closer look at what we do and do not know about this potential Supreme Court opinion.
Abby Larico joins us live at the Supreme Court building with a look at the leaked documents, Abby, and what they mean. Good morning.
Hey to all of you, good morning. So this is once again a draft opinion published by Politico. So we have not been able to independently verify it on our own here, but what it suggests the Supreme Court is about to do was enough to draw large crowds here overnight. Here's some of the headlines about this document. It's 98 pages long. It's written by Justice Samuel Alito, and it's in response to a case known as Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. That's a challenge on Mississippi's ban on abortion procedures after someone is 15 weeks pregnant. If it becomes official, it would allow state legislatures to craft their own laws restricting abortion. According to the Guttmacher Institute, which is a pro-abortion access research institute, Maryland is one of 16 states projected to create laws protecting abortion access. The draft appears to have been written in February, and it is labeled as a first draft. So it is unclear if this is the final version that the court plans to publish when eventually ruling on this case. The opinion calls the Supreme Court ruling securing legal abortion in the United States, which of course is Roe v. Wade, quote, egregiously wrong from the start, saying, quote, its reasoning was exceptionally weak and the decision had damaging consequences. So the bottom line here is that we cannot say at this point if the Supreme Court is in fact planning on overturning Roe versus Wade. However, this leaked opinion is a draft opinion that could be a signal for a lot of people on both sides of what the Supreme Court is about to do when they eventually rule on this at some point this term. And I have to tell you guys, we keep calling this unprecedented, and that's because these walls don't typically leak. It's the court with the final word on the law of the land, and we're used to seeing their final word. So draft opinions like this do not typically leak like this. The Supreme Court spokesperson has chosen not to comment on this story as of yet, but we will keep you posted. Back to you.
Abby, thank you so much for that. Stay with us. We're going to stay on top of this battle over abortion rights and reactions to this leaked Supreme Court opinion. To see everything that we know right now, you can go to WUSA9.com. Time right now is 6:06. Let's get a check on the forecast. The temperatures with Chester. Good morning.
Okay, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. Look at the temps right now. Not too bad, though. I am tracking the inbound marine layer. We've got that east to northeasterly breeze this morning. That's going to bring in air from the Atlantic. That's going to keep us cooler than yesterday. Temps right now 59 in Washington, low 50s, Culpeper, Manassas, and mid 50s in Leesburg. A relatively cool 50 in Winchester and low 50s in Frederick. To the west, skies remain generally fog-free, but by the bay, I'm not terribly surprised by this. We are getting some lower visibility readings, so there may be some fog out there. If you're crossing, for example, the Bay Bridge, heading out on 50, and then some of these areas down through southern Maryland, the northern neck as well, where visibilities are down to as low as a mile to a quarter mile. So watch out for that if you're stepping out. Walking the dog today, you're good. It's dry all day long here in the metro. 50s to start, 70s this afternoon under partly to mostly cloudy skies. And our computers do show the clouds and even that fog early this morning. We go to 11 this morning, starting to try to break it up a little bit. Temps in the 60s, and then we go to the 70s this afternoon once we break out in a little bit of sunshine. I think the computers are overdoing the sun. I think it's going to be a mostly cloudy one through the afternoon. Then we're going to tack on some showers and storms. This is 9:30 this evening off to the west, and perhaps one or two, maybe from Fredericksburg, maybe even as far north as, say, Woodbridge and even Dale City. And then once we get to later midnight tonight, more storms to track overnight. Some of those may get into the metro, and we may wake up to a few downpours as well. So we'll come back and talk about that and our temperatures. They're dipping for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Not the best news there, Michelle, but some people like it cool.
Oh, I'm an 80s girl. You know that, Tester. But checking in with our commute. In case you missed it yesterday, Metro riders on the green and yellow lines. Trains now operate there every 15 minutes. That's down from every 20 minutes. So good news there. And out on our roads, really a good morning traffic-wise, despite those visibility issues Chester mentioned. This is a live look at the top side of the Beltway, right near Colesville Road. Outer loop delays barely starting to build there. Plus, the earlier crash in Frederick County in the Point of Rocks area on 15 northbound has cleared up, and so have the delays. So getting to your Virginia travel times, looking good here across the board as well, too. 95 north, Fredericksburg up to the Mixing Bowl, 38 minutes, and 66 east, Gainesville to the Beltway, 22 minutes. Tony?
All right, Michelle, 6:09 now. Do you remember those trucker convoy protests in our area? Can't forget them. They might be coming back. The group's plans to return to the D.C. region and the reason truckers are suing D.C. over their last visit. It's all ahead on Get Up D.C.
If you are just joining us, we have unprecedented breaking news at 6:12 this morning. We are monitoring the situation outside the U.S. Supreme Court building in D.C. after protests happened there overnight. Now, it's all quiet right now, but people on both sides of the abortion rights debate showed up last night after a apparent draft of a Supreme Court opinion got leaked.
It reportedly suggests the justices are preparing to overturn Roe v. Wade. Politico says it obtained a 98-page document that was circulated amongst the justices back in February. Now, if the opinion becomes official, it would allow state legislatures to craft their own laws restricting abortion.
We are keeping an eye out for any activity at the Supreme Court today. We'll get another live report from our crews there coming up at 6:30. Right now, let's get to three other stories you need to know about. A jury has ruled a former University of Virginia lacrosse player is liable for fatally beating his girlfriend in 2010. The jury ruled yesterday that George Hughley must pay $15 million in damages in a wrongful death lawsuit. Hughley is currently serving a 23-year prison sentence in the killing of Yardley Love. A jury convicted him of second-degree murder during a criminal trial back in 2012. That jury ruled that $7.5 million in compensatory damages should be given to both Yardley Love's mother, Sharon Love, and her sister, Lexi Love Hodges.
In Montgomery County, police need your help to track down two suspects in a vicious attack. Police say it happened on Friday, April 15th at the Wheaton Mall on Veers Mill Road. Police are looking for the two women you see on your screen right now. They say another woman was inside the mall when she was approached by the two suspects. The suspects allegedly pushed her down on the ground. Once on the ground, the suspects began kicking her in the face. One of the suspects then sprayed bleach in her eyes before running away. If you have any information, call police.
A heads up for drivers. Those trucker convoy protests could be coming back to the DMV. You'll remember hundreds of truck drivers came to town earlier this year to protest COVID vaccine mandates and restrictions. This caused major traffic issues. So could it happen again? John Henry is near the Case Bridge with an update.
Over the last several days, we've seen an increase in chatter from truckers regarding their plans for their next roaming protest. Several organizers have said they're interested in coming back to roads like these in the district. Just because the People's Convoy left D.C. did not mean it went away altogether. A matter of fact, the movement protesting government overreach remained active, particularly on the West Coast. The convoy plans to meet in Post Falls, Idaho for a big rally Wednesday, but it looks like they won't stop there. On the official People's Convoy Facebook page, the page's administrator posted 3 times in 3 days that the convoy plans to come back to D.C. Another prominent trucker in the convoy posted this video on his Facebook page at a Washington State rally Sunday.
We are coming back with teeth and a backbone.
He added the truckers will, quote, always be peaceful. The truckers' interest in possibly coming back to D.C. was also hinted at in a new lawsuit filed in federal court Monday. 16 members of the People's Convoy filed a lawsuit against the District of Columbia claiming local leaders violated their First Amendment free speech rights by having police block several entry points from the highway to downtown in March. The lawsuit says MPD failed to provide the truckers with substantial evidence as to why they could not enter D.C. in certain areas. In return, the truckers are now asking for 2 things: an undisclosed amount in compensatory punitive damages and for a permanent injunction that would stop D.C. from interfering with any protest activity they might plan in the district in the future. The mayor's office told us it does not comment on litigation. Now, we also reached out to the city of Hagerstown to see if it was aware of any plans from the truckers to come back to the area. A city spokesperson said no, and they also doubted that they would go back to the speedway there. That's because this is currently racing season. With the very latest from the wharf, John Henry, WUSA 9.
6:16 right now. Let's get a check of the temperatures with Chester. So today's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, today's going to be, so no rain today?
Not really, unless you live west, way out west. I'm talking Western Maryland, some of our West Virginia communities. I'm going to show you that here in a moment. But in the metro, we stay dry until evening. That's when we'll have some storms try to flare up. Most of us will already be home, and some of us already in bed by this time, but we'll keep an eye on it. 60s and 70s today. That's what we will do after starting the day here in the 50s. Boy, you know, this model just updated, and it's trying to put down 2 inches of rain between now and tomorrow evening. I don't think we'll see that much, but the models are sort of all over the place, and that's a good indication of how scattered these thunderstorms are going to be. Some of us will get very little rain, and others will get upwards of half an inch to an inch. I think that is a possibility that a few spots will see upwards of an inch of rain between now and tomorrow evening. So send us your rain reports, especially you weather watchers out there. All right, today's dry, easterly breezes, but scattered storms move in this evening, mainly west of I-81, but 1 or 2 could make it into the metro. I'd say 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. And then overnight, we'll scatter in more storms, more showers. There will be some dry periods on Wednesday, but as the front crosses through, that'll spark off yet more rain and downpour activity. And we're going to keep that rain threat going right on through your Wednesday afternoon before it eases Wednesday evening behind the front. Thursday does look like a dry day, slightly cooler with 60s to low 70s. And then as we roll into Friday, probably going to start the day off dry before a rain moves in during the afternoon, and it is a steady rain through your Friday afternoon, off and on rain Friday night, and more steady rains heading into Saturday. We're on the backside of an area of low pressure. We're going to curl in moisture from the northeast, but also cool temperatures too, and the rain may even linger into Sunday morning before it clears on Sunday afternoon. So today, mainly cloudy skies for the morning hours, easterly breezes, 50s and 60s, cooler by the bay. Everyone else should be in the low to mid 70s this afternoon, and we will see some sunshine, though. I think more clouds will prevail than sun. Tomorrow we'll scatter in some storms, actually tonight too, then tomorrow, but we'll hit 80 before the front crosses through, then 70 on Thursday, 67 on Friday with periods of rain in the afternoon, and look at Saturday, a raw day at 59. And the high of just 60 on Mother's Day.
The Commute is sponsored by your local Honda dealers.
Chester at 619, and really a good morning traffic-wise in the DMV. No unusual delays to report around the Beltway. This is a live look outside in Annandale, right near Route 236. Now, we do have an alert for Lorton, Virginia drivers. There's a crash on the southbound side of Route 123 right near Davis Drive, but just the right shoulder is blocked, so no big delays in the area. A reminder for Arlington drivers, we still have West Glee Road closed in both directions. This is between South Glee Road and Valley Road for those major bridge repairs going over 4 Mile Run. But I do want to get to our Maryland travel times here on 270 as we are seeing those southbound volume delays through Urbana. So Frederick to the Spur right now 43 minutes, and looking good in from Gaithersburg to the Spur just 8 minutes, guys.
How about some fun news right now? Our Get Up meetups are making a comeback. In about 2 weeks, the entire Get Up DC team will be out at the Town Square Park in Reston Town Center, and we want to see you.
Yes, we do. This time, we'll be doing our show from there live, starting at 5 a.m. on Friday, May 13th, so mark your calendars. And then we're going to stay out there through 9 a.m. to hang out with you all and get to know you. The first 100 visitors will get a free t-shirt. Again, this is all happening May 13th. That's a Friday at the Town Square Park at Reston Town Center. We hope to see you there. We're going to have lots of fun.
All righty. Time now is 6:20. Are you seeing this tick in D.C.? Not just this one, a bunch of them. They are here. Some people say getting bitten by one could make you, get this, allergic to meat. Is that legit? We'll verify. Coming up next.
Lone Star ticks. They're in our area, and according to social media, if they bite you, you could develop a red meat allergy. But is that true? Let's verify.
Spring is a pretty active time.
John Lill is a professor of biology at the George Washington University.
You said that you've been bit by thousands of ticks in your life? Yes. And you still like what you do? Yes.
And when he was about 25, he was bit by a bunch of Lone Star ticks. Later, at a barbecue,
I just developed hives all over my body, got violently ill, and was really sick from that hamburger.
Yeah, our wildlife expert is also a patient. He's our first source, joining Michael Raup from the University of Maryland and Scott Cummins from the University of North Carolina. Our experts all say that not everyone who gets bit will develop this allergy.
I've been bitten several times by this tick. I don't have alpha-gal.
Alpha-gal is a sugar molecule. It's present in the tick's saliva and other meat products. And those that get bit may become allergic to alpha-gal and get a flare-up whenever it's consumed.
It's more than just a food allergy. You can't have certain medications. Many people can't have gelatin, so they can't have capsules or marshmallows.
Dr. Cummins says many even become allergic to dairy because of this. And in terms of scope, one paper, which was co-authored by Dr. Cummins, estimates that there were 34,000 people with this allergy between 2010 and 2018.
I probably have close to 3,500 patients, or have seen close to 3,500 patients with alpha-gal allergy.
So we could verify that yes, if a Lone Star tick bites you, you could become allergic to red meat, but that's not going to happen to everyone. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
All right, that's a bit nerve-wracking, but taking you outside for a live look of your foggy morning commute across the DMV, we'll let you know the trouble spots that could slow you down when we come back. Chester?
Yeah, that's right, Michelle. The low cloud and fog has moved in. We're going to keep that going for the next several hours. Some sunshine this afternoon. Cool start to the day at 58, but not bad. Today's high around 75. That's an okay day here in May. What about you all?
Hey, Chester, 626, we're staying on top of that breaking news about the possible future of Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in the United States.
Crowds of people gathered outside the Supreme Court overnight following a political report that appears to detail a draft opinion from the High Court.
We have been digging into this all night. We'll get an update from our crew live at the Supreme Court. That's straight ahead. Stay with us.
Get up, D.C. It's Tuesday, May 3rd.
We have a lot of news for you.
Let's start with something big breaking overnight. Right now, our city is becoming the center of a heated battle. Demonstrators flooding into D.C. while you slept following a leaked draft of a Supreme Court opinion that might overturn Roe v. Wade.
I'm live where that life-changing decision could be made, with the ripple effects coming in across the country and the reaction overnight.
And our Kids in Crisis series continues with two emotional stories.
If you follow somebody, it gets you in the wrong place, like jail. It could get you killed.
You'll hear from two 12-year-olds about how their friends are getting involved in violence.
And later, I have thoughts on the loss of Naomi Judd, her battle with mental illness, and the importance of getting help. I hope you'll hear me out.
Breaking right now, our city takes center stage in the battle over abortion rights.
Protests erupted overnight after an explosive new report suggests the Supreme Court's conservative majority appears poised to strike down Roe v. Wade, that 1973 case that legalized abortion.
We will walk you through the leaked report obtained by Politico, as well as reactions from people on both sides of the issue. If you're just joining us, thanks for tuning in. It is a busy morning of breaking news. We want to start with a check on the weather from Chester. Looks like it's going to be a nice day, Chester.
Yeah, it is, but one little hiccup has developed. That's some of the fog that's come in, especially areas east of the district where visibilities have dropped to 2.5 miles now at National, under 2 miles in Annapolis, and down to half a mile at Andrews Base. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Normally, you could see the monument on this view. This is our tower camera here, and you could see nothing right now. It's just low cloud and fog here. Currently 58 with those clouds in place. Easterly breezes at 10 miles per hour, advecting or pushing in what we call the marine layer. It usually hangs out over by the bay and over to the Atlantic, but today it's made it as far as the district. And also low clouds have developed as a result. So we're going to keep it cloudy for the morning, temps in the 60s through midday, and then 70s this afternoon. We'll break out in some, not this much sunshine, but some. And then we're going to spark off some storms later this evening. I think these storms could stretch all the way up to D.C. later this evening and off to the north and west, and more storms for later tonight through parts of tomorrow. We'll come back and time it all out in a couple of minutes. Right now, let's time out that morning commute with a check of the roads and Metro.
Yeah, Chester, so starting off with that good news reminder for yellow and green line riders. As of yesterday, trains there operate every 15 minutes. That's down from every 20 minutes. And out on our roads, Chester, you mentioned that fog. Take a look at the top side of the Beltway right near University Boulevard. We are definitely seeing those visibility issues out there, so make sure you have your low beams lights and increase that following distance like usual. But here in Lorton, Virginia, we do still have the southbound crash on Route 123 right near Davis Drive. Just the right shoulder is blocked there, though. I want to get to our Virginia travel times. Definitely tracking those volume delays near Dale City. So 95 north, Fredericksburg up to the Mixing Bowl, just about 45 minutes. Guys?
Michelle, thank you. Let's get back to that unprecedented breaking news now about the possible future of the Supreme Court ruling that legalized abortion in the United States. Last night, Politico published a report with what it calls a draft opinion from the Supreme Court justices.
That report suggests the court would strike down Roe v. Wade, but it's unclear if this draft shows the Supreme Court's final decision on the matter.
We have had crews set up live outside the Supreme Court building here in D.C. basically all night long. Nicole D'Antonio joins us now with the latest. It's quiet there now, Nicole. We'll see if that continues throughout the day today.
Well, it's quiet here, but there's still a lot of emotion. What we keep hearing again and again is that really this is just unprecedented. A draft opinion getting leaked out while a case is still pending. And if this is true, it could have major nationwide impacts on all of this. So at this hour, I want to show you just past all of the media you see here. You can see the fencing that police brought out here. There's still some law enforcement out here, a small group that's still gathered. But as you can imagine, overnight, there was a large number of protesters from both sides of this debate coming out here to voice their opinion on this issue. So just to recap, what came out, according to that Politico, is a draft opinion dealing with the Mississippi abortion ban. Justice Samuel Alito wrote that draft opinion, saying in the opinion that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided and should be decided by the state. But again, I want to caution you, this is a draft opinion. Of course, opinions can change and even votes could change. But as you can imagine, it brought out both sides of the issue outside the Supreme Court here in D.C. overnight. Soon after that report came down, we witnessed hundreds of pro-choice and pro-life supporters who gathered here. There were yelling matches that took place from both sides, trying to have their voice heard.
Abortions will not stop, regardless of if Roe v. Wade is overturned. Women will find a way, and we want to make sure that it's as safe as possible for these women, right?
It's the beginning to the end. The court documents leaked, but we have to keep fighting because we know the Supreme Court is swayed by public opinion, and so we have to come out, mass mobilization of people power, to say that the reversal of Roe v. Wade is good and it will save lives, and that is good, and they should keep going forward with the majority opinion.
Now, again, want to point out that this is not the final word because the courts will have that final decision later this summer. But guys, as we've been out here, we've seen a lot of people stopping by on their morning runs and walks to take pictures, to kind of take in this moment. And as you said, a lot of emotion still with all of this.
All right, Nicole, thank you very much. And this is just based on a leaked opinion. It's not the final decision. All right, let's get to another big story that could impact you. Drivers for D.C. circulator buses are going on strike today.
The strike follows almost 2 months of negotiations between the company that owns the buses and the union representing the bus drivers.
Michelle Logan is here to break down the issue. What's going on, Shell?
Yeah, guys, we warned everyone about this potential strike yesterday, and now it's happening. In a statement, the union representing drivers says they're, quote, fed up with the lack of progress in contract talks and unfair labor practices by their employer, RATP Dev. Drivers say they will stay on strike until an agreement is reached. Meanwhile, the bus company says it proposed to extend the terms of its collective bargaining agreement, but the union rejected the offer. The company is warning riders that DC circulator service could be canceled, interrupted, or delayed, and that riders should check for updates. The bus drivers and the company are scheduled to resume talks tomorrow. We'll keep you posted on that. All right, now let's get a quick check of traffic this morning. One thing we want to alert drivers about in the district, if you missed it last week, there is a new arrangement of traffic here, a new traffic pattern right at Pennsylvania Avenue on DC 295. Southbound lanes, you're shifting to the right. Northbound traffic, your left lane, and the lane that becomes the exit to Pennsylvania Avenue are blocked, so heavier delays than usual. Chester?
Okay, thanks a lot, Michelle. Let's move on to that one thing that we're tracking in weather. It's a cloudier day and also starting to see some patchy fog here. But we stay warm today with temperatures bumping back up into the 70s later this afternoon despite the additional clouds. It is going to get a lot cooler, and I'm tracking a lot of rain over the next 7 days, so you want to stay close for that forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. Tony?
6:37 now. Can you imagine having a grasp on gun violence at the age of 12? Ahead in our Kids in Crisis series, you'll hear from a young boy who should not be dealing with this, but he has some unfortunate insight.
Made me feel like I'm not safe in my community. That's why everybody telling people to put the guns down and pick the kids up.
Again, he's 12 years old. Coming up in 3 minutes, you'll hear more from this young man, and we'll add context to the violence problem with new data from police. We'll be back. All right, if you're just tuning in, we have big breaking news at 6:41. We're keeping a close eye on the Supreme Court in D.C. after protests erupted there overnight.
People on both sides of the abortion rights debate gathered there after a parent draft of a Supreme Court opinion got leaked. It reportedly suggests the justices are preparing to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Politico says it got a 98-page document that was circulated among the justices back in February. Now, if this opinion becomes official, it would allow state legislatures to craft their own laws restricting abortion.
We are keeping an eye out for any activity at the Supreme Court today. We will update you if anything happens. You know, it's interesting because one thing that we're really not talking about is the whole leak issue.
How did that even happen?
How did it get out?
How did it happen?
Does Politico, do you go with that? Do you not?
Right.
It's quite fascinating. All right, 6:42 now. Let's get to Chester. He's got a check on the forecast.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tony and everybody. Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are in for a bit of a cloudy and at times foggy start to the day. We've seen that marine layer push in from the Bay and from the Atlantic as well, but especially around the Bay where visibility is probably from places like Calvert and St. Mary's County, right along the Bay, all the way up through North Beach, Chesapeake Beach, Annapolis, or down to a mile or two, maybe even less in a few spots like Andrews Base, down to half a mile visibility. And visibilities have really dropped in D.C. now, too. So if you have a picture of the fog, hashtag WUSA9 Weather on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'd love to see those images. And of course, be safe out there. Take it easy on the area roads where the fog has developed here across the area. Dry to start and dry to finish. Temperatures up near 70 for the bus stop. So the kids could go without a jacket, maybe just the long sleeve this morning or a jacket with short sleeve, because this afternoon it is warm again. And again, we keep that easterly flow going through much of the day, so we stay cloudy, but we'll erode or break up some of those clouds later this afternoon. I still think we'll get to the 70s across the area. Should be a beautiful afternoon, though cloudier compared to yesterday. Then we track some isolated showers and storms showing up here 8, 9 o'clock. I think a few of these storms could stretch as far north as Fairfax County. So we'll keep an eye on these storms through this evening. Dale City, Woodbridge, down through Stafford, Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, 8, 9 o'clock. And a few storms out towards Cumberland and Romney and Berkeley Springs later this evening, 10, 11, midnight tonight. A couple of those storms make it into the metro for the evening and overnight hours, and perhaps 1 or 2 storms heading into tomorrow. More than what the computer is showing. We're also going to bump up into the 70s, around 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon before a cold front rolls through the area. So this afternoon, we'll call it partly sunny. After the morning clouds and fog, we'll break that up some and we'll see some sunshine today. Storms will scatter in tonight, but not a washout tonight and not a washout on Wednesday. Cold front breezes through Wednesday. Look at Thursday down to 70, but dry. And then the rain hits Friday, especially Friday afternoon. Friday night and Saturday, I see us getting almost continuous rain in that period before things start to clear out for Mother's Day. And look at those temps, much cooler for the weekend.
The Commute is sponsored by your local Honda dealers.
And Chester, you said it, but it is foggy out there. This is a live look outside in Bowie, right near Crane Highway on Route 50. Low visibility out there. Make sure to get those low beam lights on. But take a wide view of our map. Really a pretty normal morning traffic-wise. Of course, we're seeing our usual volume delays, but not a ton of big, unusual traffic jams. In Arlington, we're still tracking the closure of West Glebe Road. This is between South Glebe Road and Valley Road for those major bridge repairs going over 4 Mile Run. Virginia drivers 95 north in from Dale City to the Beltway. That's a 26-minute ride, average speed 32 miles per hour. Guys.
Michelle, thank you. 6:45. Let's get to an important topic right now. Our kids are in crisis. We've reported on far too many becoming victims of gun violence and committing it themselves.
So we are dedicating this entire week to exploring the cycle of violence and how the D.C. community is working to end it.
Yesterday, we spoke with the family of an 11-year-old who was killed. And this morning, Jess Arnold is talking directly to kids. She joins us live in studio. Jess, it seems like every day we hear about another young person being involved in or affected by crimes.
Yeah, exactly, Tony. D.C. police have been telling us that more kids are being arrested for certain crimes, so we wanted to go to the source, kids themselves, find out what they're experiencing that leads them to pick up a gun. It comes down to the phrase we hear time and again, hurt people hurt people. The background track to childhood for so many D.C. kids.
I had to run for my life.
At 12 years old, Rashad Bates has already lost friends to gun violence. 15-year-old Gerald Watson, 11-year-old Karan Brown.
I'm tired of losing people I love the most. It's like your heart sink, boom.
12-year-old Promise Ellis feels it too.
It's a lot of stuff like that goes on, and it makes me not even want to be outside.
Some children have turned that pain on others. While DC police data shows overall violent crime has decreased a bit since 2019, gun crimes are up. When it comes to kids, we have to look at arrests, and we're seeing increases in certain offenses, mainly carjackings. From July to December 2021, police arrested 72 juveniles for carjackings. During that same period in 2019, it was only 16 according to arrest records. Chief Robert Conti said when it comes to robberies in 2022, they've already arrested more juveniles than adults.
I used to post guns, used to be in the streets, not like that, but like in the street, but I used to follow the wrong crowd, used to be and stuff, getting shot at.
Then, he met the anti-violence activist he knows as Miss Hardy, who helped him imagine a different life.
Is there anything in your neighborhood that can stop you?
That's what her group Guns Down Friday does.
Yeah, I had to wake myself up, stop trying to be like everybody else, stop being a follower, be a leader. If you follow somebody, it gets you in the wrong place, like jail. It could get you killed.
Now, Rashad and these kids are mapping out better futures. We stopped by a community event where they were making vision boards.
A real estate agent at most.
And I'm thinking about being a barber when I grow up.
And Rashad reminds his friends they can grow up.
Tell them I love them. Stop being a follower, be a leader to the little kids. If you're doing like stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, the stuff that the little kids see you doing, they gonna want to do it.
He's asking people in charge to help.
Change your community by getting kids like their own little place to stay, like they happy place. Like build them new playgrounds.
Because what they're envisioning is simple.
I want myself to be safe and stuff.
To be safe and just be a kid.
Yeah.
Now, we asked DC Police for more specifics on juveniles being involved in crime this year. We had to put in a public information request, so we'll share that data as soon as we hear back from them. And it's police we're actually hearing from tomorrow.
Definitely a challenge, but if we could make one difference in someone's life, I'm happy with that.
We followed around the city's new patrol unit you're seeing there that is peddling peace through areas of DC with the most crime. That's tomorrow morning right here on Get Up DC. Tony, back to you.
Powerful stuff. All right, Jess, thank you very much. Still ahead, we are remembering Naomi Judd. The award-winning musician passed away over the weekend after a battle with mental illness. I have a few thoughts to share during Mental Health Awareness Month. I hope that you will hear me out. We'll be right back.
Ahead on CBS Mornings, protesters are already at the Supreme Court this morning after a leaked draft opinion appeared to show the court leaning toward overturning the historic Roe V Wade decision. We're going to have team coverage breaking it all down. Plus, Senator Amy Klobuchar will join us live with her reaction. Also, the newest team in the National Women's Soccer League has a star-studded lineup of female investors. Jim Yukas shows us how the team is giving women's sports a very big boost. And we'll talk about affordable and popular travel options for your summer vacation and why this might be the year to take the train for your next getaway. We'll see you at 7.
We look forward to that. Time right now, though, is 6:53. Let's get to your checklist. First up, in Loudoun County, a judge has thrown out the conviction of a parent on charge of obstruction and resisting arrest.
His name is Scott Smith. He was dragged screaming from a county school board hearing a year ago. Smith's daughter had been sexually assaulted at school by a teenager who went on to sexually assault another student at another county school.
In D.C., a jury has convicted a man on 5 felony charges of assaulting police with a dangerous and deadly weapon during the January 6th insurrection. Thomas Webster now faces up to 20 years in prison. Webster is both a Marine Corps veteran and former New York City police officer.
And make sure to tune into The Late Show with Stephen Colbert right after our 11 p.m. newscast tonight. D.C.-based celebrity chef Jose Andres will be on with Colbert to talk about all the great work that he and his World Central Kitchen and are doing for the people of Ukraine. Again, that's tonight, right after WUSA 9 News at 11. And then go ahead, keep the TV on and watch us in the morning.
Just keep it on.
425. You know, not a sermon, just a thought.
Yeah, please,
Hey,
we
Chester.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
I've
All right.
heard that before.
Okay, a few minutes before 7 o'clock. Final look at that forecast. Mostly dry today, but storms could flare west of I-81 later this afternoon. Few storms this evening and tomorrow. 75 today, 80 tomorrow, and cooler by Friday and the weekend. Michelle.
Just a helpful hint, Al, but checking in with Metro, a couple of alerts for you. Starting off with the Silver Line, we now have delays headed to Largo Town Center. This is from a disabled train at Wheelie Reston East. And then good news for Yellow and Green Line riders. If you missed it yesterday, trains there now operate every 15 minutes instead of every 20. Tony?
Yesterday, we learned that Naomi Judd took her own life Saturday after a lengthy battle with mental illness. Judd died just one day before she and her daughter were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Naomi Judd's struggles are not unfamiliar to so many in this country. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, in 2020, 21% of U.S. adults experienced mental illness. That's 1 in 5 adults. In that same year, 5.6% of U.S. adults experienced serious mental illness. That's 1 in 20. And according to the CDC, nearly 46,000 Americans died by suicide in 2020, making it the 12th leading cause of death in the U.S. Please hear me out. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Life can be complicated and difficult, and so many people are struggling, but you are not alone. As I've mentioned before, suicide has touched my family, and I know the harm depression can do. I understand what those who are struggling are up against, and I also know the pain of those who are left behind. Treatment and medication do work, so reaching out can help. No matter what you are struggling with, there are people who love you and who are willing to help you. It is okay, and it's never too late to ask for help. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or is in emotional distress, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. Or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Have a good Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.